For In Motion, I'm Kurt Parker. More than 40 years ago, Senator John F. Kennedy put a challenge to students during a speech at the University of Michigan to reach out to developing countries. By living and working with the inhabitants of a country, it was Senator Kennedy's belief that lives would be changed for the better. That belief became the Peace Corps, and to this day, Peace Corps volunteers, numbering close to 200,000, have worked in more than 100 countries, working on issues ranging from information technology to agriculture development. The message of the Peace Corps struck a chord with many in its early days, especially with a soon-to-be graduate of Iowa State University. Jack Rayman saw an opportunity for a new experience. He chose not to use his college degree to get a job in corporate America, but rather to expose himself to another world.
The Peace Corps was a pretty new thing, and there was a lot of general excitement about the concept, about the idea of traveling to other countries and cultures and seeing if there was some way that you could be helpful, but also learning a lot about yourself. The other thing was I had done a certain amount of travel in Europe and elsewhere, stayed pretty much within the culture that I was fairly used to, which is Western culture. Those were things that were interesting to me. I was more interested then in new experiences than I am now, I have to say. There was a Peace Corps recruiter on our campus. We were at Iowa State University, and I went to the session first. I thought it sounded interesting, so I said, well, why don't you come along? And she listened, and she was less interested, but you know, interested because I was, I think. But I was so sure that's what I wanted to do, and I think I, probably dominated the decision-making.
The she Jack so affectionately refers to is his wife, Barbara. The two were newlyweds and started their life together by embarking on a journey on the other side of the world.
I think the first thing that I felt as we got off in Kuala Lumpur, which is the capital of Malaysia, was, it was just oppressively hot. We got off the plane, it was about 98 degrees and about 95% humidity. And so that was the first thing. And then the other thing is the olfactory sensations. All of the open sewers and everything. It was shocking to the senses, both the heat and of course all the people, the people who were very different from Americans in terms of appearance and height and color and the language. So it's a big shock to the senses.
The years passed, and the Raymans returned to America after finishing their assignment in Malaysia. Jack now works for Penn State in career services, serving as its director. Barbara, also a Penn State employee, works as an undergraduate advisor. With their years as Peace Corps workers over, their involvement wasn't. The Raymans had 2 daughters, and with a constant exposure to different cultures and to the Peace Corps way of life, it wasn't too surprising that the Rayman girls found their way to service via the Peace Corps.
I think there's so much evidence of our experience in the Peace Corps around our house. We've got artifacts that we brought back from Borneo, which are there every day, primitive masks and blowpipe and knives and things like that. So they saw it, and we talked about it a lot. It was a powerful sort of force in our lives.
Mostly what I remember growing up is my dad speaking to me in Malay. Just short phrases like "come here," which is "lai lai cibenga." We'd be in a store or a restaurant and my dad would say that to me when I was 5 years old and I knew what it meant.
Mostly we talked about it. We never really advocated much that they do it. But again, they were socialized not so much intentionally as accidentally to think that this was an important thing to do, that this was an experience that could be life-changing. And I think, it was a big value in our family to learn about other cultures and other people and to somehow transcend the environment that we grew up in.
The Raymans are a true Penn State family. not for the school they attended or the location where they work, but because the Raymans gave of their most precious resource, themselves. For In Motion, I'm Kurt Parker.